In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Ghost. Amen. Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou amongst women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus.
Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners, now and at the hour of our death. Amen.
Our Lady la Conquistadora,
Pray for us.
St. Francis and St. Anthony.
Pray for us.
So today we celebrate this feast in honor of a Franciscan saint, St. Angelo of Acri, which is a town in southern Italy. He died in the 1730s, so he lived at about the same time as another Franciscan saint in Italy, St. Leonard of Portmorris, who was a great apostle of the Stations of the Cross. St. Angelo had a very interesting history. He was from poor parents in southern Italy. He decided to enter the Capuchin Franciscans, which he did, but then when he first got there, he got cold feet, sort of. It seemed too difficult, and so then he went back to the world. And he wondered whether or not maybe he should get married and not worry about religious life. But that didn't quite settle with him quite well. Anyway, so then he went back to the Capuchin Franciscans to try a second time, and after a little while he got scared again and then he left a second time and went back to the world. Well, when he got back to the world after the second time, he prayed God for the grace to be able to be faithful, to be able to take upon himself the cross, and so he went back to the Franciscans the third time to enter in, and they accepted him. And when he was accepted there, he decided, in order to honor God, to ask for more strength, that he would dedicate every hour be in honor of a different mystery of the Passion. And after he did that, and as he meditated on the Passion at the beginning of every hour during the day, he was then given so much strength that it was no problem anymore. He had no more temptations to leave, and then became a Franciscan Capuchin. In the year 1700, he was ordained a priest, and he was assigned to preach missions, which, as the same as St. Leonard of Portmorris, used to be very popular. The missions, that priests would come into a parish for a week or so, something like that, and then preach every day, and all the people would come to the missions, in which a lot of times they preached on the four last things during the missions: death, judgment, heaven, and hell. So he went to his first mission, prepared himself, studied all the right things. His sermon was all nicely prepared, according to the style of the times. So he entered into the pulpit and began his sermon, and then nothing. That is, he forgot in the middle of his sermon everything. And he just had to leave, because once it was gone, and there was no returning with it. So he had to leave, and of course he was highly embarrassed, obviously. So he went back to his cell and prayed to God for strength because of that situation. Except then he heard a voice, and the voice told him that the person speaking would give him the grace to become a great preacher. So then St. Angelo asked, "Who are you?" And the reply was, "I am who am," the divine name. And that St. Angelo was not to preach, therefore, from there on in a kind of human way, but to remember basically preaching is a divine action, and to be simple in his sermons and not complex, like as it was in the 1700s. You had very complicated sermons which were all beautifully put together, but a little over the head of the people. So then he began to preach according to a simple style, and instead of preparing himself much with study, it was by prayer and meditation. And then when he entered into to preach his missions, after that he became more and more successful. The next thing that happened to him, as he was asked to go to Naples to preach a mission, he began to preach in this simple style, and some of the people didn't care for that. So they were mocking him. So at the end of that first mission there, he said, the next day, the second day of that mission, he said, "Please pray for an unfortunate soul who's going to die suddenly." Well, of course, no one really thought anything about it, except the following day, the person who was the leader, basically, those who were mocking the father, for his style sermon. When he started to walk out of the church, he dropped dead right there. And that made a big impression on everybody, obviously. And after that, people were paying attention to what St. Angelo had to say. And he became more and more successful. He converted thousands of people as one who preached the missions in southern Italy. He also had the gift, as Padre Pio did. He could read hearts. So that when people went to hear confession, he knew their sins before they even confessed them. He could tell them their sins. Same as Padre Pio did, who was also a Capuchin, was able to tell the penitent sins that they had forgotten, in fact. And it was the same with St. Angelo. So we see in St. Angelo this great missionary, this great one who worked for the kingdom of God, who was greatly devoted to the Blessed Sacrament and to the Holy Mass. We would ask him for the grace to be fervent in our desire to serve God. Because many people say they serve God, but many people don't serve him well. It doesn't take thousands to serve him well, but if we're to begin any kind of Catholic restoration, it's got to begin with ourselves first and not with other people. And to do that, we must pray to be good Catholics, to really live the Catholic faith, as St. Angelo did. And then we'll begin to rebuild this disastrous situation we're in. But it must begin with us, and it must begin with a great love of God, a great desire to serve God in all things. In the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Ghost. Amen.